to the stage Martin and his friend Whurley to take it away. Take us off. And they're going to be talking about all things South by, entrepreneurship, cosmic oneness, lots of good stuff.
Thank you, Leslie. I would get up here moderator for the day. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hi. Y'all doing good?
Yeah.
I'm so happy y'all are here. My name is Martín Martinez. I know that's a mouthful. Just call me Martín. It's easier to say. I can hear it when you shout across the room a lot faster. I'm a seventh-generation Texan. Been in Austin over 20 years now. But events have been the entirety of my life. I love crowds, like seeing them move. And I want to welcome you to the 5th Annual Sunday Sanctuary at South by Southwest. This is arguably the biggest one we have done. I hope we continue to make it bigger every year. So your feedback, your support, your attendance, and your stories are so welcome. So thank you. Thank you. In year one, it was just a little happy hour for a startup accelerator called the Vehndr Institute that I was running for about a decade. I'm like semi-retired from that whole thing, but we'll really I'll talk about it a little bit. 80 people showed up, and it was inspiring. They didn't want to do it. Me, an events guy. But the Buddha Pop guys out there, James, he helps run our Houston program. He was like, Martin, let's do it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, gave me a little hope that we could do it again in 22. We took it to a place the following year. It was nice, open, outdoor, and 250 people show up. I was like, wow, there's something here. The following year, we take it to a place called the Pershing. If y'all been there, 1,500 people show up. And that really told me something. Because then we started bringing these panels. The lovely Olivia curated them, brought that community out. It was inspiring. Thank you. Thank you, and I'm glad you're here again. Last year, I was working on a conference. It nearly killed me, to be honest. But I didn't get to put as much love into it like I did the year before. But still, great amount of people showed up. Beautiful space. Met some really interesting people. And got to know me more later on. But yeah, 750 people show up. So it told me something. Let's keep going. So I hope you can feel the love. It's made with love. Events are great, just like food when they're made with love. So please try all of this out. If you got the red band, you're good for the rave. That's gonna be spent until 5. Songs, cold plunges. Shout out to the girls at Vehndr, Gabrielle and Shay for putting on that stuff in the front. And again, Lakshmi, Olivia, I'm excited about y'all programming today. But without further ado, I want to introduce a friend of mine, whose wife is also standing outside, Mr. Whurley. Yeah, you're good. See, is that working? Is that working for you? Is it? No, is it? Oh, I turn off. That's on me. Good?
That works.
Now we're working. How you doing, brother?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Yeah? I'm a little tired.
I mean, you're wearing your shades because you're cool. I broke my glasses. I was stupid enough to buy 6 pairs of shades and 1 pair of clear glasses.
Oh, there you go.
So I was at the Walgreens the other night,
Huh.
and this cop's like following me all around the Walgreens, and he's in line in front of me. He keeps looking at me. I was like, what is his deal? And I got home, and my wife and some friends was like, man, there was this cop like mean mugging me, which was really unusual.
Really?
I said, well, it's 9:30 at night. You're wearing super dark glasses. You've got your vest on inside out and your shirt's backwards. And I was like, I'm blind.
Well, at least you didn't end up in the clink. That's what happened. So I think some people in this space know who you are, but your work's prolific, and I've admired you for a long time. So it's really nice that we're sitting down and having a conversation, just like homies. But maybe for folks that are getting to know you right now, maybe just tell us the quick primer, because I know we can go on for ages on the things you've done and the people you've worked with.
So, okay, I hate this part.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Look, I lived in Nuremberg most of my youth, moved to Temple, about an hour north of here. Didn't go to school, joined a band opening for Parliament Funkadelic and a bunch of bands. Got in a bad accident in 91, led me into tech. Went to work at Apple in 93 when they had moved a R&D facility out here. Did a whole bunch of other stuff, and then 2009 decided that big companies complain about startups because they don't have structure and all these things. And startups complain about big companies. There's too much bureaucracy and red tape. And so kind of came up with a model for mixing those, and then just been doing startups since. So started a company called Chaotic Moon that did most of the mobile apps you use, so Starbucks, Whole Foods, American Idol, X Factor, whatever, thousands of them. That was acquired by Accenture. Did a gaming spinoff out of that company called Team Chaos. It was acquired by Zynga. And then in 2015, kind of started over. I was like, was it me? Was it the partners? And so I decided to go into finance, and I started a retirement-focused finance company called Honest Dollar, and we launched it at South by 2015, and then went on CNBC South by 2016 and said I was joining the management team at Goldman Sachs, because when you all saw me, you're like, fuck, it's a banker. And when they saw me, they were like, why is security here? But did all of that, and then got really fascinated with quantum computing and quantum mechanics, and had been for years. And I think we're at the precipice of, first of all, we live in the greatest time to be alive in the history of our species, from a technology perspective, and bordering on abundance. And there's a lot of bad in the world, but we never talked about all of the good in the world and all the great stuff going on. And quantum mechanics is going to revolutionize everything from computing to space exploration, to medicine, energy, and everything. And so I was like, I need to do the final thing. And so I started a IEEE project on quantum computing, which was for standards. None of the quantum people wanted that, so it didn't go very well. I started a Linux Foundation project. They all think they're going to have the only one quantum computer and be worth trillions, so that didn't go very well. So I put all so much energy in it, I said, well, fuck it, I'll start a company. And so did that in 2017 in December, and I've been doing that ever since.
Oh, there you go. Try the wireless router on there. The wireless microphone. It's one of the little button ears on the bottom. There you go. Yeah. Give it up for Whurley. I know that's a mouthful, but okay. Again, you do a story work. You've spoken. You've done keynotes at South by Southwest on big things, big ideas. But let's start at the beginning. What was your first South by Southwest? What was it like?
I mean, 99, 2020?
That was like interactive, digital interactive, I guess, was what started with 84, right? But it's really starting to take off in 99.
Yeah, it was expanding from music to film to tech.
Yeah. What did you do? What did you see? You don't remember?
I went, and I didn't like that the badges were so expensive, and it meant that a lot of people in the community couldn't do things.
Yeah.
And so at that time, Tim O'Reilly had done a thing called Food Camp. Any of you guys know that?
Food Camp?
Friends of O'Reilly. And so O'Reilly makes those tech books that have all the cool animals. And they went out to the Bay Area, and Larry and Sergey were there and all these cool people. And basically a bunch of people weren't invited. And I wasn't part of that, but they started a thing called Bar Camp, Bay Area Rejects. And so it was like Foo Bar. And I started with Raven Zachary a bar camp a couple of years after my attending South by, because it's not very inclusive. And so bar camp was an ad hoc event. We did it in Austin, so we did it in bars. And you just started drinking it till the end. It was very South by. And so we would put a wall up and sticky notes, and you wrote what you wanted to talk about on the wall, and you would stick it in a time slot, and then people would move it around. It was completely an emergent order kind of thing. Yeah. It was super cool. We did Bar Camp 1, we did Bar Camp 2, and Bar Camp 3. And Bar Camp 3 we did it at GSD&M in here, and it was like 3,644,000 people or something. And I was like, this is it's turning into an event. And Hugh Forrest, who was a really good friend of mine, was like, you have to stop doing that. And
already
then I gave it to some people. It's kind of, I don't know what's happened to it. I think it's kind of died since, but I was really big. The thing about South by is it's great, but you look at the price of those badges and you think about all the people who don't get to come hear all the wonderful things, all the people who don't get to do that. And that was really upsetting at the time for me. So I kind of went on this anti-South by kick, which was weird since, again, you and I are super tight friends.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they got the logo this year. And yeah, Hugh Forrest, I consider him as a friend and a mentor, and he's taught me some of what it means to be an event producer. One of the greatest. Yeah, so calm and collected. Tells me to meditate more often, so I don't, have total panic attacks in the bathroom during these events. My first South by let me do is take out the trash. And I was just working in a bar on 6th Street. I didn't even know what South by was. It's too early for that story, but I met Amy Winehouse. I'll tell you that story later. But yeah, I'd love it. This is my 19th. You've had some crazy events, man. On top of that, when you had Chaotic Moon, I know you had some bangers, bro. I couldn't even get in them.
that was a company for fun and profit. It was great. But then, of course, the most infamous South by incident happened with the BattleBot guys. We had a 400-pound BattleBot. 120 pounds of it was a spinning mass weapon on the front of it.
Okay.
And we didn't realize this, but we found this big field by GSTM. We're like, we're going to have it do like a demo. It's going to like rip through cardboard boxes. And at the time, I was dating this woman, fantastic producer and artist, Sonia Rainey, and her father, so first time I met him, is in town. And they're standing on the opposite field, and all of the cell signals caused interference with the robot. So the robot goes, and there's videos, if you can find them online somewhere. It's like, and then it heads straight towards them, this weapon spinning at like 10,000 RPM, and crashes through the crowd and goes and rips an air conditioner off of its mount at some poor house. And the guy came out and was like, what's going on? And I'm like trying to explain to him, like, so there's this giant robot, and I don't know what happened, but it went crazy. And Hugh never lets me live it down. Like every single interview or every single panel or whatever I'm doing with Hugh, he brings up that fucking robot. That's one thing I was just disappear from history. I've done my best to delete it from Wikipedia and remove it from YouTube. And I've been pretty successful, but unsuccessful so far. But that was probably the craziest of that. And then second to that would be, we invented the board of awesomeness first, and then this was a skateboard control to connect, and then the board of imagination, which was a mind control skateboard, which when I say that, it's okay, you don't have to believe me, nobody ever does. But if you go on YouTube and look for the Gadget Show board of imagination, you would wear an EEG and you would imagine where you wanted to go, and the board would take you there. And the biggest problem was it had actuators, and if you rode a skateboard or you did snowboarding, you would crash because you would be wanting to move and it would be wanting to move, and so we had to take those off so that you could kind of do the steering. And then that led, of course, to the famous Cupid, which was the Chaotic Man drone that had a taser that our lawyers made us lower to 80,000 volts, and we tased our intern at South by. And Jackson and I are still friends. Jackson and I are cool, and it was pretty cool. But it basically had a really early form of AI on it, and you would put a Facebook profile on it at the time, or a picture or whatever, and then it would find that person, and it would ask them to come with it or detain them. And then if they didn't, then it would tase them, we had to do all this crazy legal stuff to do that. But we've had some insane South bys. We launched Honest Dollar with Sir Mix-a-Lot, which was awesome. By the way, he's the greatest artist of all time, because you may not know this, but he kept the rights to everything he's ever done or produced or touched. And he is exceedingly more wealthy than you could imagine. And he has an investment fund. And so Sir Mix-a-Lot, a friend calls me and says, hey, if you want to pay like $5,000, Sir Mix-a-Lot's a good gig. And I'm under the impression of like, okay, nobody wants Sir Mix-a-Lot anymore. He's like working on the cheap. And so I'm like, absolutely, we had no entertainment planned. He comes out on stage. The most amazing thing I've ever seen. These two guys come out and they're like walking back and forth like, yeah. Oh, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna come out, he's gonna do like 2 songs and leave, right? Like we paid $5,000. And I look at my marketing person, and I'm like, hey, look, not so bad, we had nothing. And all of a sudden he comes out and he goes, stop! And you could have heard a pin drop. Everyone stopped. We were at the red room at the W, because it's the only place we could afford. It was like this tiny room. And it was amazing. And he goes, how many of you people in the audience know a goddamn thing about making a motherfucking honest dollar? And I was like, holy shit. And then he tied every single one of his hit songs into retirement savings. And I went to Chris, who was my marketing guy, and I go, dude, this is fucking amazing. I didn't get to talk to him. I have no idea where this is going. But he had everything. Like when he did My Hoopty, it was like, when I made my first $1 million, I made that $1 million. I went out and I bought a Ferrari Testarossa and told the story about how he should have invested in all this. He's like, you know what it was called? My Hoopty. And so I was like, this guy is amazing. But that's not the punchline. The punchline is, we pitched Sir Mix-a-Lot to invest in our company after the show, and he turned us down in diligence.
Damn.
And I was like,
So
and his reasons were great reasons. Like, it's one of the best VCs I've ever met.
Damn.
So it all makes sense when he turned us down. But my wife was saying, she's like, how did it go? Is he going to invest? I was like, he passed. It was like one of the most unbelievable, like surreal experiences ever to see him on stage, command an audience, telling something we never talked to him. He just went to the website and read about it. Was like, this is what I'm going to do. And then we pitch him, and he was like, guys, I don't think your financial model is sound. I was like, who is this guy? Like, he is incredible. So yeah, so we've had some crazy South By's.
Oh man. I feel like we can go for hours on it, but the moderators are going to throw a chair at me if we do. So I'm going to change a couple gears, and I'm going to get quick on it too, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs here in the space. You know, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I think there's a difference between a founder and an entrepreneur, in my opinion. But again, it's another talk for another day. But if you had just one little piece of advice for the folks, the creatives, the entrepreneurs, the dreamers, people that want to solve problems for people that matter to them, because those problems matter to them, what would you tell them?
Entrepreneurship is pain and suffering and nothing else. Hang on. And before you laugh, think about the mathematical odds that you're sitting in this room right now. That you're sitting in this room in a tiny little piece of what we think is a giant planet, in a whole solar system of planets, in a whole universe, the Milky Way galaxy, and you back up further and further and further, and you see all of these hundreds of thousands, billions of galaxies and spirals, and this one little specific spot. We're blessed enough to be here and be breathing air and be able to do what we do, and then to be able to say, we don't want to work for corporate, we don't want to do this, and quit and go do what we want. It is a phenomenal blessing to go through that pain and suffering. And I tell people that all the time. I tell people, when I would, I taught entrepreneurship at MIT at the council for the foreign, master students. I would tell them some three quick rules, okay? One, entrepreneurship is about 4 things. Use it up, wear it out, make do, or do without. That's it. I've started a lot of companies, I've sold a lot of companies, I've advised over 20 companies that exited. I've never once been like, we had an idea, and then people gave us money, and then people bought it. It was great. And we sold it like we're rich. Like, it does not work that way. My wife is out in one of these booths called Wild Halo, right out front. And on the way over here, she was like, I just don't know if I'm cut out for it. It's so stressful, whatever. And I was like, that's the job. That's what it is. The second thing is everybody wants to be this rock star founder. I believe in teams. Startups are a team sport. I couldn't do anything I've done without the partners I had, the employees I had at Canada, without the people that were there with me for Honest Dollar, without the people I have now at StrangeWorks. Not a thing. Startups are a team sport. So if you're going to be that founder, fucking quit. That's a entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's good. That's not a founder.
And the last thing is when you're pitching people, when you're talking to investors, when you're talking to other people, okay, you're always going to tell this story. And that story is never real. I tell entrepreneurs all the time. When I was at the school, I hear the pitches. When an entrepreneur tells you that it's going great, how's it going? Oh, it's going great. Oh, everything's going great. Or, it's going up to the right, or whatever they tell you. They're lying to themselves, or you, or both parties. Okay? I've never once had it go great. And when I make investments, we have a fund on the side here. And when we do that, the thing I look for is the person who's like, it's horrible. Everything is shit, but I believe in this shit, and I'm going to go try to make it happen. That's the person I want to invest in, right? Because everybody else has these fanciful stories and whatever. And, it's just like, you have to be realistic. It is a hard job. So it's a weird balance. And I'll end with that. You have to be realistic about the situation you're in, and still be that hopeful, like, it's going to be amazing and this is great. But you got to be on the it's going to be side, because it's definitely not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, I have a video. I'll show any of you that want to come see it. I'll be hanging out all day because I'm working a booth, right? But I have a video of David Cardona, my general counsel, now my co-founder in StrangeWorks, but he's general counsel at Honest Dollar. The night we closed the Goldman Sachs transaction, it's like 12:30 at night. He's been working on papers for like 48 hours. He hasn't slept. And he looks at it, he stacks them all up in the video, and he goes, all right, it's done. And I go, and I ask him on video, how do you feel? And he goes, good. That was the level of excitement in the room. Okay, on an exit, where the next morning, ready to go on CNBC and be like, boom, sold Goldman Sachs, the first tech company they've ever bought in 147 years. And the level of excitement was, I think it's over. So anyway, there's hopefully some pointers maybe that will help out. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you. Y'all liking this? Yeah. Thank you. I wanted to step on one last thing, because again, we've talked about that pain. These things are made with love, though, and through the love, you deal with the pain. Then there's quantum stuff, bro. I don't know. I feel like my consciousness is like melding into everything else now at this point. Or might it just be the mushyverse out there? But go check out that booth. But do you think, again, there's something in there, again, we're just in this cosmic little dot spinning in this giant web of ether. Like, how are we connected to this quantum at the tiniest of the tiny connect to the biggest of the big? You're one of the biggest experts on it, and I know that's a big question. But if we could synthesize it into something simple.
I'm not gonna claim to be an expert on it. Physicists hate that their whole life. But I have a healthy perspective on it, right? And so on one side, you have this movement for quantum sensors, quantum computing, navigation without GPS, all this stuff. On the other side, you have these new people like Deepak, who's got this like quantum healing book and all this. And so these guys kind of talk shit about these guys, and the business is definitely like, that sounds like snake oil bullshit. And where I sit is in a really interesting spot, because Google, not last December, but December 4, released a paper that said their quantum computer in 5 minutes did something the world's largest supercomputer would have taken 10 septillion years. It's a 10 with 25 zeros after it, okay? And they also, in that press release, and I was shocked that anybody in Google Legal or PR or anybody saw this, said it lends credence to David Deutsch's theory that we live in a multiverse. The only way quantum computation can happen is across multiple universes, okay? Which is like crazy. That's in a Google press release, right? Like, you can go Google it right now and see it. And so where I sit is like, I'm not so harsh on the healing people, because I'm like, wait a second. If we're made of atoms, everything, you take something like this or this chair, you blow it up in a vacuum chamber, you pull an electron off, freeze it down colder in space, or you trap it with lasers, an ion trap, and then you use it to calculate. And the way you do that is you entangle them. Well, we've all had that deja vu feeling. We've met someone, right? And we're like, we just had this connection or whatever. I definitely believe there's some aspect of that where both sides are being too harsh on each other, where it's like, well, if it works in this mechanics function of an electron, how do we know that, like, you finish somebody's sentences, how do we know that that's not some form of entanglement, right?
You're walking their dreams.
I do think there's a lot of snake oil around it. By the way, in fairness, on both sides, a lot of computing guys are like, there's no way that fucking shit works like you said it did. But I think it's super interesting, and here's what's great. We're about to take the first step away from von Neumann technology, right? Every computer pretty much based on von Neumann technologies invented by the Nazis, okay? We took the right scientists, we built them. You ever go to Huntsville, Alabama, you'll be stunned. It's Wernher von Braun High School, Wernher von Braun this. You're like, wait a second, what's going on? But 1959, Jack Kilby here in Texas invents the integrated circuit. Before that, used transistors one at a time for transistor radios. And so from there to now, it's all the same tech. This is the first step away from it. And so, kind of the way I look at it is with a sense of wonder and joy of like, we have no idea what we're going to discover. Everybody thinks quantum's going to break encryption. 2 years ago, 6 million qubits of break encryption. Last year, it was 1 million. This year, 100,000. Next year, maybe 20,000. We don't know. Because we're experimenting with stuff that is literally just like, when I was working with CERN and, they of course did the big Higgs boson, the God particle, and all that stuff, you look at this, we're working with stuff we can't even comprehend. Even the scientists working on it don't know that much more than you. They know a bunch of technical stuff, but we have no idea. And so when I think about that, I think about the state of the world, I think I am so unbelievably positive and hopeful for the future of humanity that maybe all of it ties together. Maybe computers can show us that there is that entanglement between people are together, or that deja vu, or maybe we can actually mathematically prove a lot of that stuff out. And it's super, super fascinating to me.
Yeah, dude. Again, if time is just a construct in our three-dimensional perception, the future's already happened, as is the past, but it's our choice to make. So before
I'm gonna go find that mushroom booth.
yeah, you and me both, brother. Before that chair flies in my head, I just want to say thank you, sir. It's been a joy. I hope we get to spend more time doing this.
Thank you very much, Martin. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, before we jump into the next panel, I keep it over. I do want to give a shout out to those two lovely ladies that curated that entire Vehndr market booth. Ladies, y'all want to come up real quick and just say hi and say a couple things about Vehndr? I want to introduce Gabrielle and Shay.
Hi everybody, I'm Gabby. This is my co-founder Shay here. We're just a cute little team over here running the vendor market, and all the vendors you see you're able to book on our new app we just created called Vehndr, just spelled a little weird, Vehndr. Yeah, we're happy to be here. If you ever need vendors for your events or you want to connect with an event coordinator, you can do that all through our app. And yeah, just check out the booths. You'll be able to use the app to check out through their booth and everything. And yeah, just try it out. We're a local Austin female-founded team, and we'd love for y'all to check it out and support. And thank you for coming.